What's up, everybody? Coach Daisha here, and I'm bringing you this week's hot topic. As a reminder, these hot topic videos are a great way for me to address some of the common questions that I get and the common concerns when I talk to patients and clients surrounding osteoporosis, osteopenia, etc. So, today's video is going to be about something that I hear a lot, and that is the fear of exercise. So what I want to do in this video is talk about where that fear comes from and how we can get over that fear so we can move our body and start living the healthiest life possible. So let's get started. First, let's talk about the root causes of fear. We can always break these down into three different categories: past experiences, physiological factors, and psychological factors. Let's break each one of those down. With past negative experiences, this can be a combination of things. It can be a history of injury, whether you've had a prior fracture, injury, anything like that. Maybe there's some embarrassing moment from an exercise class or working with somebody in person. Maybe there's been some negative feedback or criticism about some of the movement patterns that you have tried in the past. Or lastly, maybe you're just comparing yourself to someone else, right? Your day one to somebody else's day 500. With physiological factors, this can really compound when we have a diagnosis like osteoporosis. You may have a fear of re-injury. You may have a fear that your body doesn't have the ability to do the types of exercises that you've done in the past. And lastly, there can always be anxieties about the fragility of your body after this diagnosis. And lastly, the psychological factors around fear. This can be low self esteem, a lack of success with prior attempts at exercise, and just the societal messages that we get on a regular basis when it comes to aging. So, now that we've identified the root causes of fear, how do we get past it? Well, I've got three tips for you, and they all fall under the umbrella of cognitive reframing, basically, retraining our brain. The first tip is positive self talk. Right now, you probably have a lot of negative comments that go through your brain on a regular basis, and you may not even be aware of it. A lot of those comments basically train your brain to believe that you cannot do what you set out to do. So I'm going to encourage you to take those negative thoughts and turn them into positives. And one quick way of doing this is whenever you hear yourself saying, I can't do something, simply put the word yet at the end of it. So, I can't do a deadlift yet. I can't do an overhead press yet. I can't do that box jump yet. This is just one example of how we take some of the negative comments that constantly go through our brain on a daily basis and reframe it to the positive. Once your brain starts to recognize positive comments and statements on a regular basis, your body will respond in kind. The next tip is to start to utilize a growth mindset. So, if you're not familiar with this concept, we have fixed mindsets and growth mindsets. The very easy way to kind of differentiate between the two is that a fixed mindset is things are the way they are, they've always been this way, they're not going to change, it is what it is. That's a typical fixed mindset. A growth mindset is one where we see opportunities as just that, opportunities. They may be challenges, and no matter what the outcome is, we're going to learn from that outcome. Even if we believe we might fail, we're going to learn from that process. And that is a growth mindset. Once your brain shifts into a growth mindset, you will notice that any activity that you decide to take on is going to be one that's going to be beneficial to you. Whether it's beneficial from the outset, the first time you do it, you start to see the results, or whether it might not go the way you thought it was going to go. But you're going to learn from that experience and you're going to take that information as you go forward. A growth mindset is going to allow you to exercise and do your workouts in a way that will always benefit you. My last tip is one that I have always told my clients, and that is use small wins to build your self confidence. The only way for us as individuals to build self confidence is to do what we said we were going to do. A lot of times we set out to do something, we say it to ourselves, maybe even we say it to others. And when that thing does not happen, we automatically start to feel bad about ourselves. It decreases our self confidence. Now, the flip side of that is every time we set out to do something and we accomplish it, we have now boosted our self confidence. So, those small wins, and I did say the word small, are what adds up and builds the self confidence we need to continue to do workouts, exercises, etc. So, let's take hill drops as an example. If you don't currently do hill drops, or you do maybe a small amount of them, and you really want to get better at them and you want to become more consistent with them, you want to create an extremely doable and achievable goal for those hill drops. So let's say you're going to do 10 hill drops a day. Now you're probably thinking, Coach Dacia, 10, that's a really small number. That's the point. I want you to start with something so small that there's no way you can fail. So let's say you're going to set out to do this for 1 week, 10 heel drops every day for 1 week. Now, guess what happens at the end of day 7 when you have completed that task? Your brain does a small party. It's like, oh my gosh, she did what she said she was going to do. Now, what can she do? That right there just boosted your self confidence, your awareness that when you set out to do something, you absolutely can do it. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, that self confidence is the foundation for consistency. And that's what we're looking for with exercise and workouts. We're looking for consistency. The more consistent you are with your exercise routine, the better you're going to feel, the healthier you're going to be, the healthier your bones are going to be. Everything in life becomes a little bit easier and a little bit better with some consistency. But it's really hard to be consistent with anything when we don't have the confidence in ourselves to do it. So I encourage you right now to set out for some really small goals that you can achieve on a daily, maybe even weekly basis, and watch how your self confidence skyrockets. And that's it, everybody. We talked about the fear of exercise today, what those root causes could be, and how you can get over that fear. I hope you take this information and utilize it in your own exercise routine. And I hope that it helps lead you to that happier and healthier life that you're looking for. Thanks for joining me this week.